Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review of the live album The Seventh Date of Hell by the band Venom. This live album originally came out in 1984. It was released before their fourth album, but after their third album. And originally it was only released as a VHS video. And not released as a actual live album until this year. So before I get into the songs, I'm gonna name off the band members really quick. Of course, with this lineup, it is the classic trio of Mantis on guitar, Abaddon on drums, and Kronos on bass and vocals. Alright, so starting off with this live album, there's sort of a really cool sounding intro bit where it's just very loud, almost air raid siren type sound. And then you have this voice over the speaker, sort of like a voiceover type thing that says, "Ladies and gentlemen, from the very depths of hell, Venom." And then they start playing the first song on their set list, which is a live version of the song "Leave Me in Hell." A very good version. I can't decide whether I like this live version or the studio version, but both are really good. Next up is a live version of the song Countess Bathory, which is another one that I can't decide whether I like the studio or live version more, because they're both really good, and this version is great. Now I just want to mention that all these songs, these live versions, are at a slightly faster or more faster tempo than their original studio versions. Yeah, even though it's at a faster tempo, it's still really good. And it's one of the majority of Venom songs work with this faster tempo with the live versions. Some don't, but most do. But yeah, great version of Countess Bathory. Next up is a live version of the song Die Hard, which I've never liked this song. I've always thought it was just a very boring, forgettable song. And this live version is pretty much the same. Next up is a song called Seven Gates of Hell, which was, I think, only ever featured on their, what was it called? I can't remember, but it was their very first demo recording, I believe, which I do have on a compilation album, which I got from the box set that I just recently bought. It was only on that one, and then I believe they also did some live versions prior to this particular one. But for the most part, majority of them, it was before Kronos joined the band, so it was a completely different vocalist. And those early versions I just do not like, because that entire demo has this really bad audio quality and you could barely hear anything. This version is really good though. I didn't know what to think of the early version, mainly because the audio quality is pretty bad to the point where everything just sounds sort of muffled. But now that I could hear it and it's sort of in a proper live environment, and I could actually hear all the instruments being played and the vocals going on, it's actually a really good song. I'm glad that I bought this live album so I could actually hear a proper version of this song now. Yeah, it's just a great song. Alright. Next up is a live version of Buried Alive. Yeah, this is the only live version of a song on this live album that I do not like, in terms of the live version specifically, because keep in mind, like I said in the beginning of this video, every live version of a song Venom does, they up the tempo, even if the tempo wasn't at that speed on the studio version. So they play every song faster than on the studio versions, even if a song was already fast to begin with. And so you have a song like Buried Alive, which is one of the very few non-fast songs of theirs, one of the very few more slow to mid-tempo type songs. and they completely butcher it by taking a song that was supposed to be very, it had a very specific mood to it, and a very specific sort of slower nature to it, and they take it and just speed it up to they speed it up, and it just really ruins the it just ruins the song. It's one of the very few songs where it was not meant to be sped up or anything, or not meant to be a fast song. And yeah, they speed up the riff, the solo, the vocals, everything just sounds very off, and I don't know what they were thinking with this one. It just doesn't sound right. Anyway, next up is a live version of the song "Don't Burn the Witch." I love this live version, maybe even more than the studio version. I don't know. I haven't really decided. But yeah, this is just a fantastic rendition of this song, and it's just it's probably my favorite live version of any song on here. Yeah, it's just so good. Next up is a song that for some reason is not mentioned on the track listing, and that's a live version of the song In Nomine Satanas. And I don't know if this is just a printing error on my copy that I have, that it doesn't have that song listed here. It's in between Don't Burn the Witch and Welcome to Hell. But it's not actually listed here. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's a mass printing error where it's left off of every single track listing on every single copy, or if it's just this particular one that's a printing error on this one. I don't know. But yeah, it's a song. It's there, but it's not listed. So it was kind of a surprise to me that it was on here. I had to actually look at the original track listing of the actual live show and the live video to see, like, was this a mistake? Is it not supposed to be on here? But no, it's supposed to be on here. It is on here, but anyway. Enough rambling. Yeah, I mean, this song, for some reason, compared to everything else on here, for some reason the mixing is just off. Like, Mantis's bass is so drowned in the mix. Like, and that's not a problem with any of the other songs on here. Everything for this live album is the sound design on this live album is mixed very, very well. Yeah, sure, it's still raw audio, but the mixing is still done really well, and everything is more or less balanced sound wise. And yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if that was just a mess up or what happened. I don't know if there was a sound problem on the original video as well, or if it's just this live album. But the live version of In Nomine Satanas, I think if the bass wasn't drowned out in that recording, I think this song would have been really great, a really great live version. But unfortunately, that's not the case, and the mixing on this particular song is bad. But thankfully things get better from here on out. Because next up is a live version of Welcome to Hell, which is my favorite version of the song that I've heard. I love the studio version, but this version is just light years better. Not only is it one of the best things of, like, the song being sped up in the live version and sounding even better, but it's also a fact of the build-up to the song that accompanied it. Like, there's this build-up where, like, you have, like, Mantis doing this, like, very varied series of riffs and stuff, with, like, Abaddon, just a constant sort of, like, a spastic drum beat in the background. And there's this build-up. Everything gets faster and faster and faster. And then everything just stops. And then Mantis sort of, like, interacts with the crowd a little bit, does his little whatever speech or whatever. And then it starts up again, and it just gradually, like, very seamlessly goes into the opening of the song Welcome to Hell, and then that plays. Just a really great live version, and a really cool build-up and lead into that song. Next up is a live version of the song Warhead. Warhead's one of my favorite Venom songs of all time. Definitely in, like, a top 10. Well, I do prefer the studio version a bit more. This live version is still really, really good. And then last up is a live version of the song "Stand Up and sorry, not Stand Up and Shout." That's a Dio song. This song is called "Stand Up and Be Counted." Yeah, I always accidentally mis label this song. Like, "Stand Up and Shout" is a Dio song. This is a Venom song, a similar name, but it's called "Stand Up and Be Counted." But I always accidentally say "Stand Up and Shout" by accident. But yeah, "Stand Up and Be Counted" is a great song, and this live version is even better than the studio version. The studio version is still really good, but this live version just has so much more energy to it. Yeah, it's just a great song. So before I get into my final thoughts and my verdict, I just want to show off, the album art really quickly. So the album art, it's not artwork. It's pretty much just, I guess you could call it a promotional photo. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a little bit more simplistic, but it's still really cool. You get the three band members there. You get sort of like scenery in the foreground with like just a pile of like bones and rubble. And then just a blue background. And then the full name of the live album. Sorry, I didn't say the full name actually, because it's pretty long. The full, like I just said, the Seventh Date of Hell. But the full name is The Seventh Date of Hell, live at Hammersmith Odeon 1984, which is pretty much a very long title, and I guess I just will keep on calling this The Seventh Date of Hell. It's a lot easier to say, not a lot easier to say. It's a lot shorter of a title. Anyway, and then you get my favorite version of the Venom logo in red here. And then you get the back here, which you have the track listing, which also has the one of the songs missing from the track listing as well. In Nomine Satanis is supposed to be like right here, but it's not. And then you have this upside down flaming cross with a picture of each band member, as well as the three far away shots. I really need to get my hands on that VHS tape. Oh, something I forgot to mention. Almost completely forgot about it, but there is one more song that was cut off of this live album. The show actually ended with a live version of the song Bloodlust. And it's not on here. It's not on this live album. It's on the video and it was in the show, but for some reason they left it off of the live album here. And yeah, even though the other song, In Nomine Satanis, isn't listed on here, it's still on here, whereas Bloodlust is not on here at all. I don't know if they did it because it was just too many songs to fit on one album, but yeah, it's supposed to be on here, but it's not. Yeah, and I also I recommend probably both this live album as well as the actual video if you could track that VHS tape down. Because this live album is just a really good sort of like, it's good by itself, but I think it also would be a great companion piece to the actual video. Yeah. And then, now, there's no colored vinyl on this one, it's just the plain black vinyl. But you do get a gatefold that has sort of, is this? Oh, I was gonna say it's interviews, but no, it's basically just information on the show. So overall, for the most part, an absolutely fantastic live album. I'm gonna give it an 8.9 out of 10. Really, the only issues I have with it is the bad audio mixing on one of the songs, and that same song not being listed on the track listing. And then the only other issue I have is one song being cut off at the end, like it's not even there. But everything else on here I absolutely love. This is just a great live album, and probably their best. I've heard most of their live albums. I know there's, I've heard all of their live albums. I know they have like partially live EPs where it's like, or where it's like EPs where like the first side A are live songs, and then side B is like studio tracks. But as for full-length live albums, this is the absolute best. And definitely highly recommend this. And like I said again, I also highly recommend to track down that actual video. If you have a VHS player still, I do, so I could actually watch it. But definitely definitely worth your money if you could find one. Yeah. Alright, so that's about it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.